Hi there, and welcome to The InEVitable. This is MotorTrend's podcast, video podcast, vodcast, whatever you call it, about the future of the car. We're going to be talking about cars that are electric, cars that are powered by biofuels, cars without steering wheels, maybe. They're driving themselves. Where are we going and how are we going to get there? That's what we focus on here on The InEVitable. I am joined by the lowest of the low, Mr. Ed Lowe, Mr. MotorTrend, the editorial director of I guess it's
head of editorial, the world's most prestigious automotive brand. There you go. Thank you.
Miles.
Thank you for butchering the intro.
Miles and miles more prestigious.
Quite the comedian today.
Yes. Well, speaking of which, this is actually a makeup intro because this guy he somehow didn't get COVID, even though everyone in his life did.
Yeah, had a family situation with COVID, so couldn't come in because of our guest, who is a very famous, world-renowned, super popular comedian.
Yeah.
Arguably, I think, definitely by a long shot, the most social media active, the most followers,
social media famous
across all platforms. It's over 26
that we've had,
something like 26 million followers across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter,
and YouTube. It's crazy. Yeah.
Mr. Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, who is a Southern California guy, LA guy, big Dodger fan. You might have seen his Netflix special or one of his many comedy shows that he's done. He tours constantly. Huge car fan, huge
Volkswagen guy,
huge VW guy. Likes buses and bugs and
Type
Beetles.
2s, the transporter. And I'll just say something funny was, the interview was a couple weeks ago because we're remaking up the intro. But I put a selfie of me and him up on Instagram, and like every single friend of mine who's Mexican and from LA, who I haven't heard from in years, was like, "Whoa, like what? Like this guy, he's massive."
He's absolutely massive.
I had no idea.
And he's super humble and great to talk to.
And nice guy.
And a nice guy. And we cover his life, his cars, his passions.
Buying cars at auctions.
Which is strange. And then, of course, what his take on EVs are. And he's got a pretty unique one coming from the VW space.
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado, let's roll that interview.
Here's Fluffy. So, we're here. We've got Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias. I think that now we can officially say the most famous Iglesias.
Wow.
Right?
For sure. We did some research on you. You, I think, are the biggest celebrity we've had on in terms of social media presence. Let me just recount the numbers, and this was as of this morning. 5.4 million subscribers on YouTube, 2.9 million followers on Instagram, 1 million on Twitter, and hold on to your hats, 11 million on Facebook. So you're like the 20 million follower man, just in terms of social media presence. I did not look up TikTok. I don't know. Are you on TikTok? Do you
6.5.
But who's counting?
Let me tell you something. TikTok is one of those. It's a sleeper because when I joined TikTok, I didn't even want to do it, but I got talked into it. And I had no idea how quickly it was going to catch on. I did like maybe 3 videos that went viral. And my numbers surpassed Instagram like overnight.
So is that still exciting?
The Chinese Communist Party wants people to follow you so they can track them.
That's true. But for someone like you, when something goes viral, is it still exciting?
It is.
Okay. Because of all the, again, if you have 5 point whatever million on YouTube, like obviously something's gone viral once or twice. So for it to happen again on TikTok, it's still exciting.
So like last week, I posted a 1-minute clip of an old comedy, set, just a little clip. And when I posted it, I kept refreshing, and every time you refresh, the numbers would jump by the, and so I was able to watch it like that. And then so after 30 minutes, it surpassed 1 million.
Wow!
And I'm telling my friends, I'm like, look at this freaking thing. I can't do this on IG, YouTube. It doesn't hit like that. But for some reason, TikTok, they push it out there more, and it caught on.
Drug. That's that dopamine hit. You're like, man, look at this. I got to use it again. So that's awesome.
Hang on real quick. Hang on. Before you get started, though, I noticed, I took my son to the movies yesterday, and we saw the Minions movie, but we saw the preview for a movie you're in, Paws of Fury. And I noticed that you're in a movie with George Takei.
Star Trek.
Which is insane. So I just want to know, the cast is crazy, like Sam Jackson, everybody, but when you do those animated movies, are you actually all in a room together?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. This movie we started working on it, I want to say like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been, it actually used to have a different name. The original title was Blazing Samurai, kind of making a spoof of Blazing Saddles back in the day.
I saw Mel Brooks is in it.
It's Mel Brooks' movie.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that, I don't know if it's because of the times or maybe they thought, change the name to make it more fun. Because Blazing Samurai, it could be anything, right? But Paws of Fury, it just sounds cute, funny,
and plus,
silly, and doesn't sound offensive.
And kids love Paw Patrol. So
Is it a Paw Patrol? Is it part of that franchise?
No. This is a Mel Brooks thing. But I did not get to meet George. I haven't met him yet. I'm looking forward to when we do some, media for him. Hopefully, I get a chance to talk to him because I grew up watching. I think everybody grew up watching Star Trek.
Yeah, and I just was like, oh my, it's George Takei, and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm interviewing this guy. I'm trying to explain to my son, like, did you see that dog or whatever? What animal are you?
Cat.
Your cat. Sorry.
Yeah, right. It was only a matter of time before the guy named Fluffy actually wound up playing a cat. Because I played a lot of dogs. I played a lot of other, animals and objects, but never a cat.
So what I love about this is we are 5 minutes in and we have yet to formally introduce who our guest is. And this is an automotive-based podcast.
Well, I think everyone knows him. We don't,
Well, okay. So back to where I started. This guy's got over 26.5 million followers all over social media, okay?
Just social media. He has a Netflix show.
I don't know. Just for context, MotorTrend, the MotorTrend group, we go to market. We tell all these car companies who want to work with us. We have 110 million followers across our social media platforms. That's bigger, but that's MotorTrend brand, Hot Rod, Super Street, Four-Wheeler. That's like 19 different brands
and 40 million.
All of their different handles on YouTube, on Facebook. This is one guy,
yeah.
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, comedian, actor, animated voiceover talent.
And now car guy,
VW nut.
Car guy for a while.
Yeah, and how ironic! I just got back from the Barrett-Jackson car auction.
Which one?
Okay,
the one that was in Las Vegas.
Vegas one. Okay, that's one of the small. They have 2 big shows and 2 small shows. So
well, I will be attending the rest from now on because for some reason that turned into like Car Comic-Con for me. I was geeking out. I was having so much fun. I'm walking around. It's like the Peterson Museum, but you could buy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you buy anything?
Cool.
Did you buy anything?
Okay, so here was the plan, right? So I go to this Barrett-Jackson car auction. I got turned on to them by my friends over that work for Jay Leno.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Steves, I call them.
I know Steve.
Okay,
I know one of the Steves.
Okay, see?
Yeah.
So they said, hey, man, because I wanted to sell 2 cars. I was looking to sell my Dodge Demon and my Bandit, my Trans Am Bandit that I bought a few years ago.
Johnny loves those.
I wasn't driving them very much, and I thought, hey, these are expensive cars. They're just going to sit and rot. I might as well sell them right now while they're hot and, invest the money in something. So I go to the auction. I get exactly what I expected for them. And then I made the mistake of staying.
Oh, yeah. So you spent it all plus.
I left with 2, came back with 6.
Yeah.
That is horrible math.
That's good.
So now, as it was, I was kind of, I was running out of space in my garage. And now I'm like really in a little bit of a pickle.
So you just do what Leno does. Just buy the hangar next door.
That's
Keep
exactly.
going. Yeah.
That's what I was telling Steve. I go, now I know why Jay owns half of the Burbank Airport.
Yeah.
Because.
So, okay, I have 2 questions. What's a Demon going for these days?
Well, they have Demons listed as high as I've seen them online for as high as $225.
Okay.
But just because you put that price tag on it doesn't mean that's exactly what you're going to get for it.
Sure.
You got to be realistic. So I think starting at 100 and going as high as 220. But I've seen people spend money. Upwards of 180, I've seen people actually buy.
What'd yours go for?
I want to say it was I think it was 154 or 158.
I would say.
Did it go for more because it was yours? Did you sign anything?
There was.
Did you include a T-shirt or something?
I'm going to say the Barrett-Jackson audience isn't the biggest Fluffy Iglesias fan base in the world.
So
having signed autographs at Barrett-Jackson myself, and people are like, everyone, who are you? Why do I want your signature?
There was 2 Demons for sale at the Barrett-Jackson auction, and mine went for more.
Okay.
So, but yeah, not much more. But I the first thing I did was, okay, which one was sold for more? All right, mine sold for more. So I was happy about that.
I love. So the Demon's a funny car because we drive press cars. In other words, like Dodge gives us a car. The Demon, there was no press car. They let us go on the launch of it, so we got to drive it. and they'd set that crazy time, that 9.65 seconds in the quarter mile.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could try and beat it on launch day, and that was it. There was no independent testing, no third-party verification of it, blah, blah, blah. And I never got to drive one initially. And then years later, I ran into one of the engineers, and I was like, that 9.65 second quarter mile, like that's fake, right? And he's like, yeah, it's mine shaft error. And I'm like, what's mine shaft error? And he's like, well, there's a weather phenomenon in Texas at this one drag strip where their barometric pressure like inverts. And so suddenly it's like you're 600 feet below ground. So you get this supercharge of air going into the supercharger. And that's the night we did it. And no one's done it since.
Right. That's the night we did it.
Yeah, mine shaft air
at night when it's cool. Heavy air.
But
at a drag strip.
But forget about the numbers. I drove a Demon, and like what a just wonderful car. Like just so fun.
It's a lot of power, but man, I'm just going to Dunkin' Donut drive-through. I don't need that. It's a little much. Don't get me wrong. I got it up to about 125 at one point just to see.
That's it. That's all it needs to do.
And it was only for a few seconds, and then I'm like, all right, let me start considering life again.
So what was your, well, I think I know Johnny's other question, which is you sold the
thank
Demon.
you, Ed,
So I sold the Demon and I sold the Trans Am.
Which 6 did you buy?
I wound up buying 3 Chevelles.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 Chevelles, 2 69s and one what is it, Malibu? Oh God, I'm trying to remember the year that it was. I also wound up buying a 67 Camaro. This was kind of a weird one. I bought an Audi R8. I couldn't believe that they were selling it. I got it for $60. It's a 2009.
Oh,
okay, early,
first gen,
right?
Yeah,
V8,
black,
V10,
yes.
V8 manual.
Both. It has a you can.
Yeah. So it's the
Electronic.
single clutch.
I was trying to figure that out last night. I was having fun with it though.
So it's interesting. You said R8.
Oh, and a Dodge Dart.
What year? 60s?
70.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So it's interesting that the R8, because what I found, because we used to actually, MotorTrend used to broadcast Barrett-Jackson, so I go there to work. And what I found was like, Chevelles, they're there for, there's a zillion of them, and they're expensive. But like a Porsche 911, an Audi R8, a Bentley Arnage, they're there because the local dealers are emptying their used inventory, and nobody there knows what they are. So if you want like a deal on a Porsche,
I was gonna say you can. I saw a Ferrari go for $70,000.
Yeah,
and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
and it wasn't like nothing about it said that this thing has been. It looked brand new.
Yeah, and because I was asking, I'm like, why is there a Bentley Arnage, red label for $20,000 when this 84 IROC Z is going for $35,000? It makes no sense. There's no world where that makes sense.
There was a lot of situations where I saw cars that should have gone for way more go for like pennies, and cars that were like, "Are you kidding me? This garbage is really."
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's that phenomenon too, where it's like that shouldn't be going for that. But I remember the last one I went to, there was an original Corvette L88. So that was like the one where if you knew to check the L88 box, you got an actual race motor. Like not, it made a lot of power. It was like actually like this is what the race cars used. And there's only like 80 of them made or something like that, super low. They're worth a fortune. And nobody's bidding on it because nobody knew what it was.
Nobody knew.
And like Craig Jackson stops the auction.
I love that.
And he's like, guys, like this is an original L88, and then he just bought it, and he bought it for like $300,000, and it was a steal. It was a steal because
So we've established that you have serious car guy credibility. Anybody who buys cars at famous auctions, I think, gets that pass. But I noticed in doing my little bit of research, no Fords. You're like a Mopar Chevy guy. Right? Is this what I'm seeing? Like you got a bunch of muscle. Okay. We're gonna get to the VW stuff in a second here, but in your fleet prior to, I watched a great video. I think Business Insider did something on you a couple of years ago, and they walked through your garage and they saw the Trans Am, and they saw the Mopars. Just hearing what you just bought, Chevelles, a Dart, and now an Audi R8. What's up? No Ford Motor Company. No.
You know what? Because it's outside in the parking lot. I have My favorite Ford is actually now discontinued. It's the Ford Flex.
Oh, yeah.
The Ford Flex is the most practical car I have ever owned.
Yep.
And then I had the motor souped up, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah, EcoBoost.
Yeah, all of that. Yes.
So we're good friends with this guy, Chris Theodore, who was the project manager, chief engineer of the Flex. And yeah, we're huge Flex fans. Like it's because the one thing no one knows about it, it was supposed to be like their minivan replacement, and so originally the back doors slid. It had 2 sliding doors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then they're like, nope, it's a minivan. No one's going to buy it, and drove great. It's actually a stretched Volvo platform under there. The D. What was it called? The D whatever. Anyways, it's an old Volvo platform when Ford owned Volvo. Mm-hmm. Stretched it, and it rides great, handles great, totally practical. Nice.
Everything about that car and I have a 2012. I have a 2012 and it's got about 40,000 miles on it. I mean, if I want to cruise, it's a great cruiser. Yeah. If I want to go to Costco and freaking gut the place, I can put the seats down and fill it up.
It's as close as we have to a full-size American station wagon.
Yes. Yeah. And I can carry like 8 people in it.
Yep. Oh, fantastic
and my dogs.
Car. Fantastic car.
All right. Okay. So the daily. I was going to ask you. That was one of the questions. What did you drive here in? So Ford Flex, got it.
I did not come here in a Ford Flex. I actually came in here. I just bought a Grand Wagoneer.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That's I got the Obsidian one
with the Macintosh sound system. That's why I want that car.
That Grand Wagoneer is incredible. Yeah. I had an Escalade and a Navigator, and this is by far my favorite.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, they're great.
You sit in that third row. The third row is insane.
It's massive.
There's a bigger one coming, right?
The Stretch.
Yeah. The Grand
I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be okay.
I know. It's huge. Okay. So I lost my phone in the rear seat, and I had to like dig under everything. Couldn't find it. And then I found this plate, and it says like Grand Wagoneer short wheelbase. And I was like, what? Whoa. I was like, guys, we have proof a long wheelbase is coming.
Right.
So.
What color leather did you get? What's
It's all black. It's black on black.
Black on black.
The Obsidian. It's called Obsidian because everything's blacked out.
Right.
So everything usually has the chrome, the trim on everything. This is just black on black.
It's great for LA in July. It's really
I know, right? and I was in Vegas in it. But fortunately that AC is incredible.
Good
and
AC.
It's just it handles so well.
Yeah, for a big truck. I don't know if we ever threw the Navigator, but we definitely did Escalade versus Grand Wagoneer. Mm-hmm. And, it's one of those things where you've driven both, we've driven both, and we're like, the winner is the Jeep. And everyone who's never driven any, they're like, are you nuts? How can a Cadillac lose to a Jeep? It's like, you haven't driven a Grand Wagoneer, have you?
And the price will rival an Escalade.
Same price, yeah. Same price. Actually, Escalade's a little more. So
it's right there, depending on the course,
Yeah. But feature for feature, I think the Jeep is just a little below the Cadillac, but it's the interior's worlds better. Like it's funny because Cadillac made this big thing about the new Escalade. Like we have this first class interior, and it's
the
like
V.
And the V, that's
going to be a whole nother.
Yes, yeah. But like the front seat in the Cadillac's pretty nice, but then you get into the second and third row, and it's like whereas the Jeep is nice all the way back, and if you sit in the third row, which is an ocean of wood, it's like it's awesome.
Yeah, like I think that third row, the seats still tilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just such a good interior. Yeah.
Huge legroom, giant windows. Yeah, big fan. All right, but we got a lot. We got it. We got your current. We got what you're into. You're buying some muscle cars, but let's go back and talk a little bit because I want to get to some VW questions. You got the Fluffy Iglesias Museum. You own. How many? Is it 60?
I don't want to sound like a douche, but I lost count.
Nice. That's fine. That's fine. That's great.
Oh, sorry, over 80. It says over 80, mostly VW buses.
It's not that many. But there's I have a lot that are currently in restoration. A lot of shells that are sitting at at a shop. I want to say at the building right now we've got somewhere around between 30 and 35.
And this is in Long Beach.
Yes.
And okay, so I wanted to say something. So many years ago, we had this wonderful publication called MotorTrend Classic, and maybe your friend in the salmon pants out there got in touch with me and was like, hey, this comedian, he's a big Volkswagen collector, and we just shut down our Classic magazine. Oh. And I was like, God, I love buses, but I got nothing to do with this. So we passed on it. But I've known about this for a long time. I'm really glad you're here because I had this thing with old buses where I never bought any. I don't buy a lot of cars, but like I know what you have, and it's like this obscene collection, almost obscene.
It's obscene. They're beautiful condition, and they're
incredible.
But so this is your collection. It's not the term museum. It's not yet open to the public, right? We can't can't show up and walk around.
But I mean, if I was like, hey,
no, but like for me, I was very inspired by what Jay did in his garage, and I love the fact that he has all these different cars, but he also has artwork on the walls. It's a presentation, so when you're walking through, it feels like you're in a museum because it's like, ooh, you're not just looking at the cars. Everything about it is incredible and nice. Mm-hmm. Whereas some people that are collecting cars, you look at the garage and that looks like Tetris. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if I could cuss.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry about that.
We got people that can professionally beep you. They'll over beep it. But,
right.
But you know what I mean? Like I saw a picture of Michael Jordan's garage from back in the day, and he's got all these like Porsches and Ferraris and Range Rovers, and they're literally just stacked up on each other. And I'm like, that sucks. You got all these amazing, nice cars. Present them.
Well, it's funny you say that because every time I go to Leno's, I always tell myself like, don't look at the cars. You've seen the cars. Look at the walls because he just he had the NBC guys reproduce all this like pre-war advertising work, and it's beautiful because it was all hand done because computer was invented.
He pays the set. He pays a lot of the set decorators to go and blow up and repaint a lot of those old pictures and ads and stuff. And it's
kind of cooler than the cars.
Really cool.
You know what I mean? Because those cars you can basically see everything he has somewhere else for the most part. But that artwork is unique.
Oh, I'll tell you, your garage, your homage to Leno's, it actually came through before because I watched the video, and before I think you got to the part where you talk about how you're inspired by Leno and his collection. I was like, it looks a lot like Leno's. The way you have hung up the artwork behind the vehicles.
I commissioned an artist to do all the.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, look, so hats off. But my question is, only Gen 1, only first gen buses and Beetles? Does your passion for Volkswagen stop? Like you don't like Vanagons or whatever? You're not into like TriStars or the new Beetle or anything like that? It's all kind of.
So my first car was a Volkswagen Transporter, whatever you want to call it. It was a 1968.
Yeah.
Okay.
Type 2.
Yes. So 67 is the cutoff. 1967, and then it goes to 68, which is the whole new body style. I basically stopped at where emissions kicks in. So I stopped at 75?
Yeah.
75 is right there is the cutoff. Yeah. So I don't have to sweat anything else. But I felt like as soon as the buses started changing the lights and then it just started becoming more boxy, it lost the feel of feeling classic. And so that's what made me not want to do it. I only had the original 68, like the bus that I had. I bought a bus and made it look like the bus that I wanted to have back then. So I had one. And then I bought a second bus. It was a 74, 75. And it already has the changes. So I don't let it.
These are still the original. They're still air cooled. It's not the Type 3, the Vanagon.
No, but I mean I can get into it. Like I put a Subaru engine. I mean I did all kinds of things to make it not. So I consider that the car that sits outside. So the cutoff is supposed to be 67.
Got it.
And it's just because that's the classic vibe, the feel, and it's mostly buses. It's mostly 23 and 21. 21 and 23s, and I only have a couple of bugs.
So the difference between a 21 and a 23 window, because I know I can stand there and I can count them and I can tell the difference. But what's the real difference?
The two back corner windows.
That's all.
So the corner windows, it's just.
And is that a year-to-year thing, or is it just like you pay extra to get the windows that open up?
Well, at this point, I mean, you can put kits to make all the windows open up.
No. But I mean, back in the day, like when you go to the dealer, was there a 21 for sale and a 23, or are there different years? I don't know that much about them.
You know what? And I don't want to sound like, because I was talking to my guy Henry, who is the one that does all the restorations, and he was telling me, certain years they didn't come out with that, and I'm like, okay, help me understand here.
Okay.
So there was certain years that the 23 was available versus the 20.
And then then you cover in that video. There's a 15 window that's even rarer, right?
The 15 is actually the rarest one because they only made so many, but people don't see that one as like, ooh. They don't. Again, they don't know.
Right.
And when you know,
For
you're
people
like,
listening who don't know anything
"Ooh."
about who don't know anything what we're talking about, we're talking about this 60s era VW bus and the number of windows it has across and around, like not
and above.
yeah, not just like the windows you would normally see on today's minivans, but they literally have these little slit windows.
Alpine windows. Safari windows. Yeah.
Right. So you can let light in and see out and look up at the sky. This is sort of like, I would say it predates like sunroofs or moonroofs, but then a lot of these vans had a cloth soft top too, right? Which is wild. So these things are like Swiss cheese driving down the road. Like zero structural integrity.
Yeah, you get a lot of air in there.
Right. Yeah.
All right,
so I'm going to ask you though, because what is it about these that makes people, and I don't want to say just you, but because there are other people with this affliction, that makes people fall so in love? And I got the bug when I was helping a buddy rebuild. It was actually a Carmen Ghia Type 34, which is super rare. Only like 100 came to the U.S., and it was after the regular Carmen Ghia. But just like, going through the engine and like every single little thing stamped with the VW, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I don't know why it was so cool, but it's just like I got it all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, I get why people go nuts for VWs, but for you, what makes someone buy as many as you, and then why do you think other people get this affliction?
I've always thought they were cool, but I think initially everybody gravitated to the Volkswagen because it was so affordable.
Sure.
It's like, if you could afford to be a Porsche guy, I think you'd go afford and be a Porsche guy. But it's like, this was the people's car. It was one of those that you could work on it yourself. It's 4 bolts in the back. You could take it out with a skateboard and a wrench and some duct tape.
Which I did in high school. I just didn't appreciate it. Yeah.
This is great because I wanted to dwell on this because you're like one of the few guests we get in here that's like right around our same age. I think you're born in 76. I was born in 76. Johnny's a little bit older.
Yeah. See,
75. So we're all so a bus was your first car?
Was my first car, yes.
That you bought? Like you
My brother helped me. My brother helped me, so I got to give him credit for that one. He helped me buy the bus and helped me paint it a few different shades of Bondo because at the time,
we're talking like early 90s, like 1990. You're talking like 91, 92 or so. This is like
I was 17, 18? No, I was 17. Okay. So 17? Yeah, that's
okay. So 93. Right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was still in high school.
Okay. What did you take your driver's test in?
I actually took it in I want to say it was a Camry, a Toyota Camry. Oh. It needed to be a functional car. The deal with the DMV.
You can't show up.
You got to show up. The blinkers got to work. The brake light has to work.
Has to work.
Yeah, parking brake has to work. It's got to start.
Okay. Yeah.
All that stuff.
Right. So start very key. Yeah.
Okay.
My bus kind of had some issues going on. I mean, don't get me wrong. Once it was going, it was going.
That's great.
What color was your bus?
It was like a mouse gray, but it was about 8 different shades of Bondo and primer. And I started to work on one of the doors with a can of Krylon, and it looked really like I had the most beautiful passenger door in the panel. And I was so proud of it because I did it myself.
Right.
But the rest of the car was just.
And so you're 17. You went
no
to high
hubcaps.
Oh, nice. Okay. Did you roll it to high school in this? Is this the car you senior year if you're 17, 18, or was this?
No. Still, well, I did drive it once I started working. I would drive it when it would work.
Sure.
I got stuck on the side of the road many times. Every single one of my buses has left me stranded at one point.
That's part of the experience.
That's part of the experience. So it's like you got to have somebody following, or
it's like owning a Morgan. Yeah. No, it's but there's something about him. So I'm on this other podcast, and on Sunday we're recording, and Jerry Seinfeld was sitting with us. Just name drop if I may, and he's going on about how that day on Sunday he saw an old Volkswagen Bug, and he followed it. And he's driving like a Porsche. I think he was in a 911 GT3 RS, and he's like, it was just, I could tell it was like the original owner, and I just followed the guy. I'm like, wait, you're like literally creeping,
freaking stalker,
following. And then the other guys, I don't know if you know Spike Ferriston, but Spike is like, I did the same thing today. There was a guy in a light blue one, and I followed him home, and I'm like. 2 like guys that are literally finishing up their movie for Netflix. Their free time, they're stalking regular people in Bugs, and so there's something about them, and I don't know how to quite put my finger on it. And affordable, I think, is a big thing. But there's also, I don't know. Is it the uniqueness? Like, 'cause like I was having breakfast with my brother-in-law yesterday, and there was a combi, beautiful blue one with a whole canvas like panel, and we're both just like, whoa, just driving down. We're Bob's Big Boy, just driving down the street.
Right there in Burbank.
Yeah. And like, but what is it? Like what, I don't know.
Well,
you're the expert.
I think you answered, Gabriel, you answered it already, which is this is something you could afford at that.
And that
age, right?
that says a lot, because it's like if you feel like that's attainable, first of all, anytime you feel like something's attainable, you're drawn more to it because you're like, ooh.
But they're still turning heads, and now they're not attainable.
They look, because they look unique. And yes, depending on the condition and the year, of course. Like I just bought a low light Gia that's being restored right now, and I know that's like, it's going to be, valuable.
Sure.
I mean, as it is right now in its condition. But once it's all, fixed up, it's like, wow.
Let's go back to 1993 though, because I feel like these cars have been popular for a really long time. But we could probably look this up. We could Google it really quickly. What was the value of any?
But that's the thing too. It's like it's almost like Bitcoin. Like, hey, you should have got in early because
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the value was like cheap. I remember a lot of people in high school had buses.
I heard a lot of people say, "Oh man, back in the day, man, I got one for like $6,000, and I thought that was expensive, and I should have held on to it." I hear a lot of "I should have held on to it" stories.
Do you remember how much you paid for yours?
Oh God, like $400-$500.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But
then also too, it was a '68, not a not.
But back then in the early '90s, there was no price difference between a
Nobody cared.
'67
No.
and a '68 and a '63 and a '74. They were all old junk,
Yeah, that's for the most part.
Yeah.
Was that 3-speed?
No, it was 4.
Yeah, they're all four.
They're all 4 speeds.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
I know
mean,
zero about
the
this.
oldest Bug I've driven was a '53, and I don't think it had any synchros. It was all double the clutch, but it was a 4-speed.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a 50, right?
I had a 50.
Oh, you got rid of it?
It was just sitting there, and it's beautiful. And I wound up getting it to my the guy that does my restoration. So I knew that he was going to take care of it and make sure that it,
But there was a crazy story with that. That was
it came from the Hoffman Company in New York.
Right.
So it's like that was the first year that it was released in the United States.
So Max Hoffman, if those listening don't know, really fascinating guy. So he was, he brought Porsche to the U.S. He brought Volkswagen to the U.S. He brought, I think, BMW to the U.S. He was actually an Austrian Jewish guy who used to have 2 N's in his name, Hoffman with 2 N's. And when he fled the Nazis, dropped an N, so he didn't want to sound German. But then after the war, made a fortune, started bringing in all these German cars because he's Austrian, he spoke perfect German, and he could, and he's the one he's most famous for. He told Mercedes, like, build a gullwing streetcar. People in America have money. We know no one in Germany has money in 1954. Americans have money. Bring it in. But Hoffman, so he has this nephew named Dustin Hoffman. And if you look on YouTube...
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Never
if you look on YouTube, you can find these old Dustin Hoffman Volkswagen commercials. And apparently, if you bring it up to Dustin Hoffman, he gets very upset about it because it was like, hey, do a favor for Uncle Maxie. It was before The Graduate. But the reason he drives a Alfa Romeo Duetto in The Graduate is because Uncle Max was importing Alfas at the time, and
smart.
It was the year after
help the family.
It was the year after the Aston Martin was in Goldfinger, and they saw what product placement of a car could do. So. But anyways, but that was there's like there's like 3 1950 Bugs, right?
From yes,
in the U.S. Yeah,
mm-hmm. and it was pristine. But man, that thing had a top speed of like 20.
Well, I drove a 53.
It was rough. I drove it around the streets, and everybody's going around me. They'd honk, but then they'd give me a thumbs up when they'd pass me. So I'm like, okay, so I'm an ass, but that's cool. You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And you could hear it. The sound of it. It sounded like an old military Jeep, like with that sound that you hear in those movies, those old war Jeeps.
I mean, they both made about 25 horsepower. The original Jeep and the original Beetle. So yeah. So do you have other Beetles?
Yes, I have. Man, I just got it too. I'll pull up a picture. I wasn't sure if it was a 63 or 64.
Same era.
My the guy that does my restorations, Henry Marchena, by the way, I can give him a little shout out.
Yeah. Hey.
He was working on this project for someone, and they decided not to go with it, and he offered me the the Bug, and it is pristine.
Wow.
Oh, that's a very
Red.
Southern California looking Volkswagen. I'm gonna put this in the camera. I don't know.
Point it at me. There you go. Oh, I can see it.
Yeah,
Nice.
back it up here. So that's
All right, it's out of focus. Put it back.
okay. And we should say, like, you're a Southern California guy.
Yes, that's why I'm always wearing shorts.
Yeah.
I'm always wearing shorts.
So I should say that on my. You're Southern Cal. We're Southern California guys. But that was my high school parking lot. That car, I think I went to high school with that car. I mean,
You're not just a Southern California guy. You've been all over the place. Again, you've lived in. Let me get this straight. You've been in Riverside, Corona, Santa Ana, Baldwin Park, Compton, Long Beach, and apparently the internet says you live in Whittier right now. Is that right?
You know, the internet's funny. Started off in San Diego. I was born in Chula Vista, and then I stopped in all those locations you just mentioned. I still own property in Whittier, and that's probably why it says that I live there. But no, I'm in Long Beach.
and that's where your cars are.
Yeah.
That's where the Fluffy Museum.
The
is in
Fluffy
Long
Museum.
Beach.
And so when I started collecting the cars, I called it the Fluffy Museum, the Fluffy Volkswagen Museum, because I was collecting them, and with every intention of eventually making it something that I could open to the public.
Right.
But and I tell people that when I die, it's going to be like Mexican Graceland, so people can just come by. Don't forget to visit the gift shops.
Right.
I just went to Graceland and I saw Elvis's car collection, and it is pretty impressive. I mean, it's some eye rolling stuff in there. I mean, he's got the pink Cadillac, he's got two of the grosser Mercedes Benz, the giant,
the 600s,
limousines,
the
600s, which are insane. Some caddies, but all like the weird ones. Look, this is you have this unique story, and I don't want to. I want to ask you some. I think some kind of awkward, maybe, but delicate questions.
Uh-oh.
Well, so you have this.
What I want to know is how long did it take to get all those Post-its up there? That's a lot of random ideas going on.
It was a long project we were working on. It's totally separate from this, but so this is the car you fell in love with, these VW buses. This is your first car, and you've built basically a museum for them. But you're a megastar, you're multi-millionaire. You got shows on Netflix. You're doing world tours and doing comedy. Have your tastes have obviously changed or not, or like how do you? It's this interesting thing where it's like, because you said it, and I wanted to key in on that. You got this car because it was affordable, and also it was pretty cool, right? And did you modify it? Was this like did you lower? Were you like, you put like Porsche wheels on it, lowered it? You obviously said
Which one? My original?
Yeah, the first one you bought.
The first one, man. It didn't even have hubcaps. It was stock height, kinda, because it leaned a little. Like I said, it was 8 shades of Bondo and rust and one amazing door panel.
I think what Ed's trying to say is this, though.
I never tricked it out or did anything to modify because I couldn't.
Now that you have the means to buy other cars, like why stick with the buses? I guess I think is right.
Yes,
Ed, is
yes,
that
thank
what
you.
you're saying?
Well, I'm starting to expand a little bit. So, like
Okay,
for example, I just bought these Chevelles. I also own I got a 1982 Mercedes-Benz turbo diesel.
Oh,
It's a beautiful car. It's probably one of my
wagon
favorites.
or sedan.
Sedan.
Okay,
It's.
Nice.
I remember seeing the movie Rocky IV, and it's the car that the Russians were chasing Rocky in.
right.
Yeah, Mr. Balboa, this way.
Is that the 300 TD?
Yes.
300D. That's
Yeah.
my dad had.
Oh
that.
man.
High school
And
dad.
so I had it. Let me see. There it is.
That's got some awesome turbo lag, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
When you step on that thing, it goes. Yeah, I see it. Yep, I know. We're from. We had an '84 in Old Man Beige. It's
Okay.
totally out of focus.
That car has 184,000 miles, but
got
it
it,
drives
got it.
perfectly. And they said that car will go forever.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a
They'll
diesel.
literally go forever.
You know,
And
I took it to Jay's, and Jay he gave me a lot of props on it. He goes, if you said it only had 10,000 miles, I'd believe it.
Oh wow.
Because it's so well taken care of.
That good shape, yeah.
And so so I've been not just Volkswagens. I mean, that is the bulk, and that's what I want to be known as.
Yeah.
But I do have other cars that I've here's another little beauty that might surprise you. This is my 1979.
I like the color.
Trans Am, and I like the fact
Yeah,
that it's
yeah, I
not.
see it.
Everybody thinks that they're just black.
Right.
They came in so many colors.
Right. It was just Smokey and the Bandit was
Yes.
black. So
And
the blue screaming chicken is awesome.
so this one's really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, and
But
I
you
modified
do
it
seem
to
to
make
have
it-
an affinity for older, like nothing except for the R8, nothing that new. as far as collecting.
Well,
goes.
and the Wagoneer.
And if it's something
but
new,
collecting.
I don't plan on keeping it very long. I want to enjoy the newness of it. And then, let's get the next one.
Let's get to that. Cool. Let's get to the inevitable part of this discussion. This podcast is supposed to be about electric vehicles. We spent a lot of time.
The future.
Yeah, future cars.
And let's start with the ID Buzz, the new electric Volkswagen
well, hang on.
van.
No. Do you own any EVs? Have you driven one? Have you owned one?
I bought the original Tesla from Jeff Dunham. Jeff Dunham had sold, another huge car guy. He wanted to get rid of his Tesla, and I bought it. And I was having so many issues with it because, remember, this is before they had 1 million charging stations everywhere. It's the first gen, and I had a lot of.
What year was this? So you bought it?
I don't remember exactly.
2014, 2015, something is about right.
It's definitely in the last six years. Yeah. So
okay.
I had, what is it called? Range anxiety.
Sure.
And so it would say, I'd charge it up and it'd say I have 240 miles on it, but then I go to Pasadena and come back to Long Beach, and now it's not 100 miles round trip.
Right.
So I did not like that.
Potentially have that if you turn the AC off and you go the speed limit.
Yes.
You do all these things that nobody does.
Oh, man. And when you're in one of those cars, you want to gun it because you can. You can pass up 30 cars in like 4 seconds. The torque is incredible.
Yeah.
But you lose power really quick. And so I didn't feel comfortable.
Right.
And so I wound up trading it and getting a Dodge
Demon?
No, but it was a Challenger.
Oh, yeah.
I got a Challenger. I traded my manager because I had a long story. But anyway, we traded cars. And now I'm actually I'm in the works of getting that Hummer.
Oh, awesome. Oh. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I just bought a Rivian, which is like sort of the small version of the Hummer. So
that's a new brand.
That's a new brand.
It's really cool looking.
It's awesome. 835 really cool horsepower. Looking. It's the coolest truck. Now the Hummer's 1,000 horsepower, so it has that.
Have you driven the Hummer EV truck yet?
No, but I mean, I had an original H2. I had 2 H2s back in the day, and the twins. That's when I call that new money. So when comedy started hitting really well,
right?
Yeah, I went out and I bought 2 Hummers, and I didn't even have a house yet. I'm just like,
right.
Freaking
and a shark.
And so now when I see like people that come into like whether it's rappers or boxers or people that all of a sudden went from having nothing to having everything, I know what that feels like, and I watch it and I'm like, oh, I remember doing that. And it's like, oh, I'm like, really? I did that? Okay, yeah.
Right.
But anyways, so I know I fit comfortably, and it was a really good experience.
You like it. You like the original Hummer H2,
yes,
enough that you would go back and get an
Hummer EV, the EV one, yeah.
Hummer EV, yeah.
I actually thought about buying the H1, but as big as it is not comfortable.
No, there's no room at all. It's a military vehicle.
Yeah, so it's made for a military person that's in really good shape.
Yeah,
because that seat is tiny, and it's just like, whoa, this is a waste of space.
Well, you know why the engine and transmission are sucked up into the body, so you sit next to the engine, and there's no room at all.
It's loud. It's uncomfortable. They make the seats particularly uncomfortable so that the soldiers wouldn't drive them too quickly. Because when they first put them in use, they were way more off-road capable than the Jeeps that they replaced. They were finding soldiers were like rolling them in ditches because they were driving too quickly. So like, let's make the seat like just a flat cushion that provides no support, so you can't corner quickly in this vehicle. You're just thrown against the door. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. No, the number of people I know that like are shocked by that, and then like the original, not the original, but like a last gen Land Rover Defender, which looks so cool. But you get into it, it's a piece of farm equipment from the 50s. It's miserable.
Right.
So
yeah, cool to look at, but it's different when you get in. But I'm looking forward to this this EV Hummer, and everything about it. At the inside, I'm a big guy. I like comfort, and I think I'm going to be very happy.
1,000 horsepower.
You can't go wrong with 1,000 horsepower, or maybe you can.
Yes, quickly go wrong, but then it doesn't matter.
So
all your problems.
Despite a bad experience with the Tesla Model S in we'll call it the mid to late
teens,
the teens of the year 2000, you are bullish enough to have on order a Hummer EV, and our understanding is, having talked to your publicist, that you are quite excited about the Volkswagen
ID Buzz.
The electric bus.
So this is, for those who don't know, Volkswagen is bringing a. Actually, I have the cover of a recent issue of MotorTrend.
Look at this plug.
Yeah.
Let's how you do a
ID
plug,
Buzz.
Gabe.
2024.
Yep, it's coming in 2024, which means hopefully be on sale maybe in 2023.
In a year, yeah.
You know,
and it's cool looking.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, yeah.
We dig it.
I got invited to test drive it at Leno's. You know, it's like, you know, Volkswagen found out. And see, here's the thing, too. When people say, why do you collect so many Volkswagens and why is it the bus? People know me now as the bus guy.
Yeah.
And so having that brand association is incredible because then eventually the big dogs themselves reached out. And so Volkswagen invited me to be the first American to test drive the ID Buzz, which I thought was
cool.
That for me was like, are you kidding me? And so it's documented. They're like, yeah. And then Jay's like, you know, some of the guys here might have driven it first, but on camera, you're the first one.
This is you're breaking news here. That's terrible.
Yeah.
First of all, MotorTrend should have been the first people to drive this.
Nice.
We can turn that off. This is the great thing. I can just hit this button and he goes away. How was it?
It was super cool. So they asked me to bring one of my buses so they could have a side by side, so we could talk about what was, you know, what they brought, what they brought from the original into this design, and clearly a lot of the safety issues from back in the day. You know,
they've resolved that. Right.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Flex with the practical part, where it's like you can take the seats out, you can you can fit like 2 refrigerators in the back of that thing. It's pretty massive. Very comfortable, very roomy. Off the line, it's quick. It's got a great sound system in it.
Size wise, when you had them side by side?
Yes.
Like what how much? I don't have any.
The ID Buzz is a little bit bigger. It's more
only a little bit.
Well, like I mean, you know, you're gonna fit a lot more comfortably in that car. I'm gonna find the picture. I don't remember exactly what the date was on that, but good. We had a side by side. You know, there's a lot of the, of course, you know, the big logo on the front, the big windshield. They try to do something cute with the mirrors to kind of, you know, resemble. They're trying to have it the two-tone
heritage features. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but not slavish. You know, it's not an exact replica. What do you think? I know you're searching, but what do you think about the fact that like it's already on sale in Germany, or it's going to be on sale in Germany like momentarily, and they're delaying the launch again in the U.S. until 24 model year? Mm-hmm. Like that's terrible, right? I mean, like bring it here.
You know, I think the year's gonna fly.
Okay.
I think the year's gonna fly. I'm not. You know, when you start hearing about these other cars or things that are coming like down the line.
Right.
But we're getting a different one. We're getting the longer wheelbase version. So you got the European version, the German version, which is a standard wheelbase. Which is why I'm also curious how it stacks up physically, visually. Because the one we're supposed to get will be even longer.
And I think in Europe they have a choice, though, right? You could get the shorty wheelbase or the long one, but we only get the long wheelbase, which Germany employs that strategy, like with let's say the S-Class or the 7 Series. In the U.S., we never see a short wheelbase. We only get the long.
Also, but like the Passat L in China, right? For the markets that want rear.
Okay, but what I'm saying is like there is no one knows in America there is a short wheelbase S-Class, but in Europe you get the choice. But like, I would love to have the opportunity to maybe consider a short wheelbase bus.
But we should it's also worth noting that America tends to get the most inexpensive versions, much to the the disgust of everybody else around the world. And Americans are like, it's still too expensive.
For VWs. Yeah.
Yes. We're like, this is crazy money.
And we should point out that Ed and I are slamming Volkswagen while Gabe is not.
Right. Well, not really. Look.
I'm just mad. I don't like when like their biggest smart.
While I'm scrolling, I forgot to mention. I did get myself a.
That IROC I was talking about.
Well, hold on, because I'm in the middle of a scroll here. Can you see it? What's a 1991 blue? It's.
I can see it over your shoulder. Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah.
Hey, how's that?
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice. You got an IROC.
No, that's just a Z.
It's just a Z28. Yeah. I found out that I guess it's off by 1 year.
Is that that's not from Barrett, or is that from Barrett?
No, actually, private owner.
Okay.
I bought it from a private owner on the
Barrett,
East Coast.
that's like $58 million.
Yeah,
I think is the current
easily.
going price.
Gabriel, how often do you just jump on Craigslist to look at cars? Do you
I
still do
don't.
that?
I stay off of Craigslist. Yeah, I don't need that on my search browser. I don't need that in there. Oh, Craigslist. Huh? What were you doing? Nothing.
So what else are you looking at? Are you only looking at auction sites? Do you look at Bring a Trailer, or do you look at?
I was actually turned on to Bring a Trailer, but then they said, you know what, just go for the Barrett-Jackson auction. And then what I thought was really cool was the fact that it was televised the entire time. So I was on TV, you know.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, selling those cars, and then they documented me buying cars like an idiot. So they're like,
I have to.
Fluffy bought another one. All right.
I got to tell you that you should look at Mecum too, only because they're
Yes.
even bigger.
All right,
and
so I
we
got to
also
ask the
work with
question.
them.
Is there politics? Like,
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
say like, 'cause
MotorTrend now broadcasts the Mecum auctions. We used to do Barrett-Jackson, so now they're dead
Yes.
to us, and we do Mecum.
see?
Which is a much, right, Ed? Mecum's better in every way an auction can be better,
Oh
right?
my God, so much
Right?
better,
so
nicer,
much better. You wouldn't even
pleasant
believe it.
to work.
That's
Oh,
funny.
we
Barrett-Jackson,
love
if
that-
you're
we love
listening, the views of these guys do not reflect those of Gabriel.
That's right. Mr. Iglesias does not approve this message. But,
Okay.
yeah.
So as he's finding the picture of the two, it looks like A Star Is Born with Volkswagen of America. Gabriel Iglesias is one of the first people to drive in the U.S. He's an ambassador for the brand. He will likely get the lowest VIN possible of anybody. He might get the first one. Who
Well, you're
knows?
so Gabe, you're definitely getting the ID Buzz. Like that's a done deal
Yes.
when it comes out. How many?
What color?
How many?
What
Don't know. Okay. Thanks,
getting
Rob.
close.
Thanks, Simon Pants.
Oh, okay. There you go.
He's telling me look around 8. Okay. Aren't you?
You could also just you type in Burbank. That's how I find all my photos now because they track everything you do. So your photos.
But as you're looking, I'm just going to keep quizzing you. You love this car. You're interested in this car because it's reminiscent, obviously, visually.
No, it's just a cool car. It's not because of a Volkswagen brand association. I mean, it looks cool, but it's like it's not going to be a car that I'm going to put next to my museum pieces.
It doesn't go in the collection.
No,
This
it
would
goes
be a daily,
outside.
This
It'd
is
be more
a
of a
flex
daily.
replacement.
All right.
I mean,
well,
I'm keeping
all right.
that-
So
that-
then,
I'm
okay, that's
keeping that
good to
flex.
know. How are you gonna get beyond the range anxiety? Because I'll tell you, it's not like it's changed.
But actually, a little bit. The EV cars of now have a lot more. They can
batteries
go
are bigger.
further. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a chance to ride with Jay and his. He's got
Plaid?
the plaid.
Yeah,
Yes. And I told him about that, and he goes, "Oh well, this car has a lot more. You can really go."
Yeah.
Well, what
And,
was your? Do you remember what the Jeff Dunham car? Do you remember what range that was? Because I mean, back if it was an
240.
early car,
So 240,
was-
but remember you only charge it to 80. It's a used car.
And it had
the
that
battery
weird thing where
degrades.
it was like charging an old cell phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's a NightCat battery. Make sure you do the full charge and.
Right.
mean,
No, it's
I'm not
gotten
slamming-
much. Oh, go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
well, I'm not slamming this ID Buzz. We don't know what the exact range will be, but it's not going to be probably too much more than 240.
But remember, that's all changing so fast.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, all right. I back it up a little bit. It's out of focus. About that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. Oh, yeah. So it looks significantly larger. If
Definitely taller.
Just that wheelbase.
Can I
Let me
see
show
it?
Johnny?
Can I see
Yeah,
it?
show Johnny.
Let's see. So, no, that's the long wheelbase one. That's it looks
sure?
like it looks like the US one because it's I believe the Euro one's stubbier. But
Okay.
it's cool. I mean, it's there. It's got the. Let me see the front again. Yeah, it's there. It's there. Obviously, they have to for safety. You have to have.
You need to have
more
stuff
of
in
a
the front because
yeah.
before, you had about 2 inches of metal, if that.
Have you ever
Right.
seen? Speaking of no safety?
Thanks, Rob.
Have you ever seen this thing called a Tempo Matador? Tempo Matador.
No.
Okay, I'll show you when we're off there. I'll show you a picture. But for those of you listening, Google it. Tempo Matador was before Volkswagen came out with the Type 2. This company in Germany took Beetles and made trucks out of them, and they're insane.
I've seen pictures of those.
Yes, yeah. There were a lot of them in Argentina and Brazil. You're probably going to wind up buying one day because they're so cool. They're just the coolest things. But I remember
It's a German version of an El Camino.
Yeah, essentially. But I remember I sat in one, and when you're pressing the gas pedal, what stops the gas pedal from going any further was the gas tank. Like you're literally pushing the pedal to the gas tank, and that's what your feet rest on when you're, not your left foot sitting. It's insane.
Sounds safe.
That's perfect.
It's beyond. It's so unsafe. It's so unsafe. But
okay.
But again, the technology on the new EVs, I think, is a lot better than the first gen. So, I feel a lot more comfortable. And plus, there's more charging stations, and there's apps and stuff that can help you find.
Yeah, and battery technology is. There's this company out of Michigan, ONE, and they just announced partnership with BMW. So the iX is the electric Volkswagen SUV. BMW SUV.
BMW.
Sorry, BMW SUV, the BMW iX. And it comes from the factory with about 300-mile range. However, if you simply remove BMW's battery and put in the ONE battery, it goes to 600 miles.
Oh, see?
And then my friend works there, and I'm like, so you're working on one of those for Rivian? And he's like, sends me back a winking icon, and I think they're talking to Porsche about the Taycan. So this is going to be so solved so soon that we don't really have to worry about it that much.
You'll avoid the warranty.
Well, it'll avoid the warranty. No, it won't, because they're working with BMW. They're working with the OEMs.
Okay.
That's the beauty part. And it's just a battery. Now, will it catch on fire and kill you? Maybe we'll find out. But that's all.
So let's take it at face value that the technology is there. This vehicle is gonna deliver as promised. This is what eventually, having gone through your car credibility and established what you love and that you are forward looking and ready to embrace EVs. I'm going to ask you now to speak on behalf of all of the Latinx population, because everybody in Southern California, like you are an icon, a comedian.
We're 45, dude. Just we're all 45 in this interview here.
You're the young.
He's trying. He's trying really hard.
Kids. Where are we going to be at by the time this thing is on sale? Is everybody else in your crew, in the people you talk to and engage with, to the extent you talk about cars, are they on board? Is electrification inevitable in your mind for your people, for the people you engage with, or are you still sense that there's others out there that are like, you know what, I'm not ready yet. Like, the range anxiety thing isn't solved. Like what's the adoption look like from where you are? Do you talk about this? Do you talk about EVs with your family or your friends?
No, but I think that having the conversations about gas powered versus, because you keep hearing it in the news that and I was recently in Europe where they were talking about how, I forget what country it was that we were in, that they said that in the next 5 years they're just banning all.
Oh yeah. A lot of countries are doing that. I mean. Norway might be first, but a lot of companies.
I think it was Norway.
Yeah, which is ironic because they make all their money drilling for oil, but that's another story.
I mean, one can say that, all right, electric cars, yeah, it's great for the environment, but the process of building those cars. Mm-hmm. That's what's, it's like, okay, well, okay, what you don't see behind the curtain, it's like, all right.
Yeah, China's burning a lot of coal to make batteries.
So, yeah. But as far as, conversations that I have with friends or family or fans and stuff like that, I think people still like the vroom vroom, and they like the reliability of being able to just go to a gas station. Mm-hmm. And again, it comes down to affordability. So I think that's going to be an issue. It's always about, can I afford it?
Right. But we're this really funny inflection point where it's like, what's the gas prices in SoCal? Like $6.50 a gallon is pretty much like, it's kind of stabilized at that. And it's like, if you get an EV, you never, ever, ever spend money. You can't spend money on gas. So that $400 or $500, $600 a month you're spending on gas, that's gone. And then it's like 10% for the electricity, so it's very cheap. So it's just funny.
They're going to wind up finding a way to jack up the price on electricity and charging, and having these charging stations where they're going to.
That's why I have solar panels. That's why I have solar panels. But it's just it's cheaper to run an EV than just in terms of that. And, no oil changes, there's no mechanic to visit because there's two moving parts, the motors. So it's like it's pretty, as far as affordability. And you're right though, like the Hummer is very expensive, my Rivian very expensive, Teslas are expensive. However, Chevy Bolt, they just lowered the price $7,000, so it's like
under 30 grand.
Tesla has that Roadster.
That's gonna, if it ever comes out, that'll be a lot of money. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like some of them are pretty cheap.
Well, they made a smaller version. I'm sorry, I'm not calling it the Roadster. There was a smaller version of the Tesla. Man, I'm trying.
The Model 3.
Is that the one?
The Model 3 is it's
That's
the smaller
big volume one.
It's their smallest, lowest priced. It's basically their entry level vehicle. They're still not to the point where. Oh, my lights just went off. It's still not to the point where it's actually super affordable. Yeah, I know. I get it.
There you go.
See, that's great. Do that again, though. Can you do that again for my enjoyment?
No. Yeah, I mean, look, Tesla is on target. I think if they're not already, they're they're soon to be the best selling car in California.
Oh yeah,
That's between
the
Model 3 and Model Y.
Oh, you mean the two of them? You count them as one?
Yeah, just in terms of as a brand, best selling vehicle.
No,
but
Tesla's
I think it will end up being.
They just there's a Nissan dealership that shut down in my around the corner from me, and Tesla bought the building. And
really?
They're putting them up.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
Wow.
Crazy.
They're coming and swinging.
Crazy.
But I think everyone's just gonna have to, whatever the situation is, we're all just gonna have to adapt to it. I mean, whether it's.
I'm just, I'd say this to everyone though. I'm based on stuff like the Hummer and the Rivian and Lucid and like the Plaid. I'm excited about EVs. I'm geeked on them because it's like they just do. There's just so many things they're capable of that you never thought about. And you're gonna have like you said. Yeah, when you were talking about the Volkswagen, the ID Buzz, like it's quick. And no one's ever said that about a Volkswagen Buzz.
It flies. You're passing cars. I gunned it a few times.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And that's like so every EV has the potential to be quick, which is like that's kind of cool. Even if you get a cheap one, it's like just by its inherent nature, they're quick off the line. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just excited, and I'm glad that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and there's a whole other universe that is about to be unlocked by these electric vehicles, and it's beyond just that we can plug them into a wall and you don't have to go to a gas station anymore. It's all the stuff, and I keep talking about this stuff with the staff, software, how all the fun stuff. You look at what Tesla's been doing with like putting video games in cars and over-the-air updates. All this is coming. Actually, Volkswagen is trying to become a leader in this space. They have a new company called Cariad, which is all about doing software. They call it software-defined vehicles. And this is a roundabout question back to Gabe, because you're like, of all the guests we've had so far, you have used your phone the most in terms of showing us like what's going on in your life. Are you that way in the car? Like when you jump into the Wagoneer, are you all CarPlay connected? Is that how you
I get on the CarPlay. I plug it in. And I always plug it in. I hate trying to Bluetooth it. I feel a lot more secure when I can connect the wire to it.
Oh, interesting.
And it's weird.
Okay.
I just and it's like
I'm the same way. I don't know why, but I'm the same way because we're old.
Yeah, no. So you don't even use basically the navigation system or the like when you listen. What do you listen to when you're driving? And how are you listening to it? Spotify? Or you doing Apple Music or what?
I go between Apple Music and Spotify. But yeah, I don't really use the nav system. And a buddy of mine showed me. He goes, dude, Apple Play is just the CarPlay is just the best way to go. It's instant. It's everything off your phone. And I like the fact that you can have the map small, map big, your music right next to it. It's everything right there. It's really cool and easy to use. And you have full control over it. And you don't have to worry about radio stations that don't come in or, if I want to go on Sirius, I can tap over and jump on Sirius. But for the most part, I'm just playing my playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
So that is what you're describing. First of all, it's wild. It is the reality. Everybody, we're so addicted to our phones and we're so used to the user experience. We know where everything is and it's seamless. Like you could be listening on your headphones to a podcast or some music and then jump into your car and all of a sudden it's playing. And that is the hardest thing.
There's no disconnect.
Exactly. It's the hardest thing for the car manufacturers to overcome is that they basically now need to build cars that deliver some kind of better experience to what you're getting on your phone. It's interesting because Volkswagen has tried. They tried with their first dedicated EV, this ID4. They tried to make the user experience in the screen like slick and customizable, and it's didn't really work too well. And they're iterating. They're trying to improve it. So I'll be very curious when this ID Buzz comes out to see whether they get there, and then whether people like you who are really into the car will actually change the way you use it, or if it's just going to be, I'm good with the phone. I'm good with CarPlay. I'm good with Android Auto or whatever. So
when I got this Wagoneer, it's got all kinds of cool apps and special features on it, which I think is nice. You know, when you buy the car, the guy's like, "Well, let me show you what this and this and that," and I thought that was really cool.
The fireplace, right?
Yes, yes. He goes, "Do you want to stare at the stars? Do you want the fireplace?" And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." That was the only thing that I mess with.
Right.
Everything else, I'm like, I can do that on my phone.
Right. Interesting. So it's funny because my brand new Rivian, which is like 3 weeks old, doesn't have Apple CarPlay, which neither my wife and I, we don't care about it. I never use it. That's just me. I in LA, I generally know where I'm going and da-da-da-da. But I know a lot of people are like, I wouldn't buy a car without it, you know? And I'm like, but it's got 835 horsepower and it can climb up a wall and it has a built-in air compressor. Yeah, but no Apple CarPlay. Not interested. And it's funny. It's just, you know, and I've met people, why'd you buy your Tesla? I love screens. I love my iPad. And the one in the Tesla's even bigger. But you bought a car because of the screen? Yeah. And I'm like, what? But
it is.
I've made decisions based on cup holders, so I'm pretty petty. Yeah, man. If we don't got a cup holder, I can't talk to you because it's like, you know, really.
So that's why you're not a Porsche guy.
You know,
like pretty much every guest we've had is like you poke them enough, they're like, yeah, I got a Porsche. But but the worst cup holders still to this day.
Like for example, my 82, my Mercedes, the turbo diesel, no cup holders in the car, so I had to go to Kragen and get one of those old school, you know, you hang on the door.
Right.
So I put mine in the glove box, and it just hangs out, so I can go get my coffee and just put it in there and. You know, I can't get a large like I want, but I.
and it's funny because, you know, we get to talk to all the German engineers, and they're just like, "What is with these cup holders? Like, why do you care?" And I go, "You live in this little country. You never drive anywhere, and if you do, you have no speed limit, so you get there quick. Like, we're constantly sitting in our cars. We got to eat, got to drink. It's hot.
The most maddening thing for the Germans to understand is that they had to start putting in a little arrow on the fuel gauge to remind the driver what side of the car the fuel door was on. And the Germans are like, why? You Americans are so dumb. You can't remember that in the German car, it's always like on the driver's side. I think that's right. Right. And see, I don't remember. Yeah. And the response back was, no, Americans own more than one car. Right. And they might own brands where it's on the other side.
Yeah.
And and it's like, what? Like, and then they come in America and like, yeah, this is one of the for a long time the wealthiest country on earth, and then your average guy might have 2 or 3 cars, and if he owns a Japanese car, fuel filter on one side, he owns a German car, it's on the other side.
You got an old school 70s car, it's right in the middle in the back.
That's right.
In the middle back.
Pull down the plate.
Well, I remember a guy, I forget his name, nice guy. He was the head of V8 engines at Mercedes-Benz, right? And he lived in the U.S. for a couple of years, and he was like, we were just talking, he's like, I understand cup holders. I go, what do you mean? He's like, I had a 90-minute commute each way. It's like, I would get thirsty. I go, yeah, you need a cup holder. He goes, yes, you need a cup holder. You know, so right. it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing.
You know, like in the Wagoneer, I got two incredible cup holders in the front, and there's a fridge. There's a little fridge.
Yes.
You flip up the thing, and then, you know, a little ice. I can hold like, you know, 8 sodas in there. It's awesome. And then I got my cup holders, which like for me is. And by the way, a shout out to I think it's the Toyota Sienna that has something like I want to say
this is a
17 cup holders in the car. It's either 11 or 17. I'm looking at the number in my head. When I found out, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
It's 17.
It is 17.
And 36 miles per gallon. And Johnny's dying inside because he thought we might have made it through one whole episode of a podcast and not talked about minivans.
Or the Sienna specifically. We had Sung Kang on.
Sorry about that.
Like, the greatest car is the Toyota Sienna. And I'm like looking at Ed because Ed, that's his favorite car. Yeah.
And you know, again, it has that practicality where you can do stuff with the seats, and it's just you know, I don't own any Toyotas, but when I found out that it had that many cup holders in it, and it was that practical, I'm like, all right, kudos to you.
I thought you were going a totally different direction with shout outs.
Well, on that note, yeah.
But on that note, we should like because this was we had to reschedule this a couple of times because you're a busy dude,
and I apologize for that.
That's all right.
No, no apologies. It's good to be busy. What's up for you? We can end on this.
Besides Paws of Fury.
Nice. Paws of Fury, July 15th. That's also my birthday.
Nice.
In theaters everywhere. Okay. I'm excited that I have a new Netflix special coming out in the next couple of months. I recorded it at Dodger Stadium. And so it's
Nice.
coming
Really?
out. Yes.
That must be cool.
Yeah, it was
as a
very,
Southern
very
California
cool.
native to record at Dodger Stadium. Wow. I mean, I'm trying to think like Elton John did a concert there once. Like that's pretty big
Yeah.
time.
No, so I was
Wow.
very excited. I was
Holy
the first
cow.
comic to do it. And
Holy
that
cow.
for me is my feather in my cap. And
That's like
if I
Madison
retire,
Square Garden.
no,
but
that's
not-
like 4 of them.
Yeah, well, no. I was going to say
Yeah.
not in a little tiny building. That's like 80,000.
Wait. How does it even work? Where were you relative to like the pitcher's mound?
In
Where
the, in the
were you-
outfield by the pavilion.
Okay.
So you're on
Center
you want-
field.
Wait,
Center field,
You're-
outfield.
Yeah.
on a
That's-
stage
yes.
on the grass.
Yep.
And everybody's looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
That's nuts.
How many people?
It was over 45,000.
That's nuts.
That's awesome. Wow, that's really cool. I mean,
Open air.
Let me
at
find a
night.
picture.
Because I grew up. My dad would take me to Dodgers games. I mean, that's what it meant to be, like from LA. That's awesome.
Do you have any? Was it a swag night? Did you have like a bobblehead? Was it a fluffy bobblehead night or something? Or give out baseball bats? Or
Actually, I have a Funko figure that's that
right,
was
little plastic toy figurine. That's incredible.
Wow.
But you're also.
Oh my God.
Holy moly! Is that on your Instagram?
Yes.
Can we check that?
Who's?
That's my buddy Martin. He's been a longtime friend and he's hosted the shows from the beginning.
That's wild. Yeah.
See
I
that?
got it. So okay, so the
Dude,
Netflix
that's
live
rad.
from Dodger Stadium is coming out, but I think you're also. Are you going on tour soon? Is that what's?
I never stop.
Okay.
Typical comedian, right?
I never
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, yeah.
So
Why would
always
you?
doing a show somewhere. We did the Del Mar Fair last week, and then I went to the Bear Jackson thing, and that I actually had a scheduled time off to do that, which was pretty
cool.
cool. It was fun. And then there's certain things I like to do. Like now, I want to be part of Comic-Con. WWE events. I like wrestling.
Are you going to Comic-Con?
Yes,
Me too.
yes,
Oh,
I will be
cool.
there.
Oh,
And I'll
nice.
be with Funko.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. My wife, she used to volunteer for them constantly, and now she's an attorney, so now she's doing legal work for them. So she's actually going down for the week. So I'm taking the kid. And we're
That is a great time.
yeah.
that
I've
is
been
a
a few times.
great
It's cool.
time.
It's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
So you're just doing
Well,
everything all at once.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have as much fun as possible, and but I'm not gonna stop touring. So I'll be somewhere.
Cool.
And I'm the easiest person to find on the internet. All you got to do is Google the word fluffy.
That's right.
I am the number one thing, and I challenge anybody to go online. Just type in the word fluffy. Make sure it's fluffy, not fluffer. That's a different profession.
Right. Different podcast too. Different podcast.
Different
Totally
podcast.
different podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the number one thing that comes up. So I branded that name a long time ago, and so it's I come out before bunnies, quilts, comforters, cotton candy. I'm the number one fluffy thing online. Period.
All right. Well,
And
we
then
should
you
have
can find all social
opened with
media.
that.
yeah, we should have. But anyways, on that note, because we get the high sign like twice already, because we're way over.
Oh, sorry.
We're way over our.
This was
16
a lot of
minutes.
fun,
No,
by
no,
the
no.
way. I had a
No,
really good
this
time.
is awesome. We want
yeah.
everyone to come back.
I'm sorry I spoiled it
Want
with
you
those
back.
cup holders.
No, it's not the cup holders. It's the Toyota Sienna.
Sienna.
It's how many? Like we've done. I don't know. 12 podcasts, 15 podcasts now.
Yes.
It gets the Sienna comes up. Like
Or the
I think
Odyssey.
Ed, I
Yes.
feel like you're seating the guests. You're cheating.
no.
It's like
No,
you go to see a psychic and they know everything because someone in the audience has told. So
What is
We
it about
definitely
you
want you
don't
back.
like?
it's just the worst driving thing there
No.
is.
It looks like a spaceship inside. It's like like
Yeah.
on
So we
that
want you
note-
back when you get your hands on that first ID buzz, because it sounds like you'll get it ahead of anybody. And
Yes.
you can bring it by,
Yes.
come back and chat. Or if you want to, we can help you spec it out. Like we did a whole thing on this.
Well, also,
VW
hey, real
review.
quick, we have our mobile podcast studio coming. We should
Oh, yeah.
we should go down.
I think
to
you guys should come
Fluffy
down to the Fluffy
Garage.
Museum and set up and do a
Yeah.
podcast from there.
That would be
Yes.
the way to go.
Here's your
that sounds
official
incredible.
online invite.
All right, sweet.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you, Fluffy, number one Fluffy on the internet, for coming on our show.
And the
This has
world's
been
most
great
famous
chatting.
Iglesias.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys.
All right.